welcome back to an episode of Beer, Bacon, and Bros. It's always one of my favorite videos to do because it is that time, ladies and gentlemen, for arguably, as I said, one of the greater playoffs in professional sports, especially in the North American continent, of just the hype, the energy, just all the intangibles around it. It's the Stanley Cup. Curling is close. I do get hyped over some curling in the Olympics. I wouldn't say that.
You're sweating when that rock's just kind of slowly rolling down.
I'm getting I'm screaming at the TV too, like sweet, you know. But the Stanley Cup playoffs we are right there. May 2nd. It's gonna be the first puck drop of the playoffs. So I think most teams have 2 games left. Only 3 spots have not been clinched yet, and that's actually in the Western Conference. You've got the Kings in the Pacific haven't clinched their 3rd seed, and then you got the 2 wild cards out the Western Conference haven't been decided yet, and that's up between Dallas, Nashville. Vegas is just below the line, so they're trying to fight to get up into the wild card.
Give me, you're obviously a little bit more into this or more knowledge in this than we are. Give me a real sleeper that you think could really come in here and actually at least make it 2 rounds.
Second here.
Yeah, you take over.
To at least go 2 rounds?
Yeah, a sleeper to go 2 rounds on either side of this. Obviously, Avalanche are the top dog. Florida's played really well. That whole division with Washington and Pittsburgh and everybody there. I think the Calgary Flames obviously have done really well this season. Nobody's really super talking about them. I would say Vegas has been a little bit of a disappointment in my opinion.
Yeah, they have. I mean, it's kind of hard. Look, your first year in existence, you go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to follow up with that, but the way. But I feel like they've just been constantly doing that though.
Yeah.
Since then, they have.
And that's kind of what I mean. I mean, we coming into the season. I know we did our pre-season video, which I'd love to go back and see where we are. But I know I talked a lot about Colorado and Vegas being 2 teams that everybody was talking a lot about being the tops, especially on the Western side. And to see Vegas needing to literally play in the last couple of days just to even make the playoffs is probably a little bit of a disappointment. So,
I mean, other than especially if we're saying just sleeper, I like Boston. Boston's a really good put together team. Like it showed, with them being the 4th seed in the Atlantic doesn't really do them justice.
Yeah, with 49 wins.
Yeah. That seeding doesn't really match up. So that's one of those things to where that could be come out in their favor that, they're going to be playing better teams, but they may be overlooked as a 4th seed that's won a shit ton of games,
Yeah. So I would say probably Tampa. I mean, following for me being 3rd in the Atlantic, obviously Toronto and Florida played really well this year, but it almost feels like a little bit of a sneaky thing where you're like, hey, this is the team that's played in so many Stanley Cups over the last couple of years. Right. We're just sliding in as a 3 seed in this division.
Yeah.
Well, now, is this the year that Toronto can actually make it happen? Like, make it past the first round?
Better question, is this the year that Carolina actually makes it past the first round?
Yeah. I like Carolina too. Went to the Pittsburgh versus Carolina game in Raleigh. Carolina was really good. We had them in overtime. We should have won. Well, I'll give them that off camera. That pisses me off. But Carolina is a really well put together team. Okay. They've got the speed and everything like that. I think really important, especially in the playoffs.
Did Edmonton Oilers make it? Wait.
They're in there, yes.
Yeah.
Edmonton's in there. I think they're a 3rd or 4th seed in their division. 2 seed. Okay,
they're
sorry.
2 seed in the Pacific. Yeah.
So that's my other sleeper.
I like Edmonton too, though. I feel like every year in these videos, I always talk about how Edmonton is always like one of my teams. I'm like, watch out for Edmonton, and I feel like they kind of like very short-lived in their playoff runs. It's like maybe this is the year where they actually kind of get that deeper run that they're
I thought last year they came into the playoffs high. I think they win Series 1 and then went 6 or 7 games in Series 2 and ended up losing. Yeah. But I think they played really good hockey. I think they look good, like we've been saying. That's a well put together team. They operate very well together. I think they're not weak on any line. They got a couple guys that are decent athletes on all 3 or 4 lines of theirs.
Yeah.
So I think this is their year that they're able to make a past the second round decent run.
Consistency.
Yeah. I think they're looking a little bit better this year. I think they have than they did last year. So that's the team I'm going with is the Oilers make a.
Can we talk about the fall that Montreal had? to go from in the playoffs to like I think honestly one of the worst 3 teams in the league.
20 games.
Didn't
Yeah.
the Canadians literally like they made
that surprising deep run as like a
They were
wild
like-
card
they were like
team.
a
Yeah.
seven-
ago.
They were
Yeah.
like a 17.
Literally
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And
then
made
now-
this miracle run
Yeah.
in freaking 20 games. So
Yeah.
are they had the worst record?
No,
Yeah.
They're tied for last with
Detroit.
the Flyers. Is that 51 right there?
Coyotes.
The
Yeah.
Coyotes. The Flyers have 61. Sorry.
Yeah, and the Canadians have 51. So
They're tied for the worst in Arizona.
Good
Yeah.
job. The expansion team that came in played better than you.
Yeah.
No, that was Seattle.
No,
The
that's what
Kraken.
he's saying.
No, that's what I'm saying. They played
They
better.
played
than
better
you.
as the
Oh.
expansion
I said
team.
the expansion team played better than you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's rough, dude.
But the expansion, I mean, that's another disappointment I want to talk about is like Vegas when they did their expansion draft. Granted, they got some really good players that were third to fourth line guys on all these teams that I think they got so lucky. They got all these different guys that were third or fourth line that all of a
Just
sudden
meshed
were
really
average
well.
players that just meshed really well. Like you said, they just played so well. There was no like superstar mentality. It was all about the team. And then of course getting Marc-Andre Fleury, the veteran that was still I think running really well.
Yeah.
Then Vegas goes to the finals their first year, and then Seattle it's like almost like the playbook was written for you. Like Vegas
This is
had
what
just done it.
This is
Like-
what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, like you could like months ago essentially could really say. I mean, it was only a couple of years, but like Vegas just showed you how to do this, and then I feel like Seattle just fell flat on their face with it. Like the moment they did the expansion draft, everybody out there was like, "What? Was like, who are these guys that they just went out and got?" Like everybody was surprised by it that they went. So that's my biggest disappointment on the whole year is how Seattle just completely flopped.
Or did teams wise up and were like, we'll let some of these
And then could be that
guys
way.
that on our team they played
the team's
well.
wised up and
Well,
like,
yeah.
we're not doing this again.
Teams were able to evaluate. They're like, hey, those guys that we thought weren't valuable were valuable.
Really
to
are
Vegas.
valuable.
Yeah.
So now the guy that I still haven't figured out whether it's an older veteran or a younger rookie that I, as a manager or as a coach, haven't figured out, does he actually fit this mold? Does he actually fit on this team? Versus a guy that's, okay, he's not a superstar, but he fits our system well. Instead of getting rid of that guy, let's get rid of the guy I'm still unsure about.
Right.
And now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
this is what Seattle gets to pick up. Now well, I don't know if he's actually cut out to be in the NHL,
Yeah. All right, so let's make some predictions. Who you taking to win the Stanley Cup?
Say Tampa or Carolina.
Okay.
So it's gonna come out the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Girl.
I'm going Colorado Avalanche. It's been my
Avalanche.
it's been my boss's team. It's his best friend manages the team, and so I'm gonna. He's been telling me stick to my guns. This is the team. This is the team. So I'm trusting it.
You stuck in Colorado?
Yep.
Are you going to be a homer and pick Pittsburgh?
I don't think Pittsburgh can make the run. My biggest thing right now is the goalie play. Jari was. It's like the same thing last year. Like Jari was just very hot and cold, and I feel like right now he's gotten into like the cold. Like last I checked, I think he was like 0 for 6 in his like most recent starts. So like it's just. You can't go in the playoffs doing that. You can't go in the playoffs with the yips to the goalie. So I think it's going to be, I'll say out of the Eastern Conference, it'll be Carolina versus, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Wild.
Okay.
And then I think Carolina wins it this year.
Okay.
Yeah. Stay homer to my division, but I'll choose a different team.
The closest team to you.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Closest team to me. I mean, it may not be about me wanting to just be able to drive 3 hours to see.
I don't know. Carolina's played really well over the last 2 years. Like you said, I think they've done a lot of good stuff to put that team back on the map. I've always liked the Minnesota Wild too, though. I've always liked them. But I'm sticking to what I said earlier. I'm going with Edmonton.
Going with Edmonton?
All right.
Edmonton.
All right.
I like it.
Swinging.
Yeah, I'm sticking to it.
That would be the first Canadian Stanley Cup in.
Oh, it's like decades. Yeah, we did the math
Yeah.
the last video we did on this. It was I want to say it's close to like 30 years.
Yeah, so it was like
now.
the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like the 80s or 90s.
When
Yeah.
Vancouver won it.
Yeah.
Well, it would be nice. Maybe we just get a Toronto versus Edmonton Stanley Cup.
Where Canada's guaranteed. The whole country, like, all right, end it now. We'll split the Stanley Cup.
We won it.
I can't imagine if
All
one
of
of
Canada.
Yeah.
It was gonna be. We won it. What team do you pull? It doesn't matter.
It didn't matter. We won it.
I can't imagine if literally like one of the Canadian teams gets in, just how packed that arena would be for the home Stanley Cup matches. Like if
Like
that
the actual Stanley Cup Finals, yeah, that would be
like
insane.
it wouldn't even matter which one of the Canadian teams gets in. They're just gonna be like, we're gonna win this. Like it's
Yeah.
where they're all the entire country.
Especially if it's like one of the like originals like Toronto
Yeah.
that have been there for hundreds of years. You're gonna see people come out the woodworks. It's gonna be one of those things where like there's gonna be 5 times the amount of people outside the arena. Yeah.
Yeah.
Standing in the streets, yeah.
What do you do? I drove a day and a half to get here.
Yeah.
So their only hope is literally Toronto or Edmonton, or if Vancouver just happens to make the playoffs as a wild card.
Yeah.
So they only got 3 hopes, at least 2, possibly
Yeah.
3
Wait,
hopes.
Calgary?
Oh, yeah, Calgary.
Calgary,
Yeah,
yeah.
never mind.
Yeah, they're Canadian team.
Yeah, Calgary's in 2. So they got 3, maybe 4 hopes here.
Yeah.
So they got a chance. So, all right. Well, let us know in the comments who you think is going to end up winning the Stanley Cup, or if you think some of our dark horse sleepers are just absolutely crazy. As always, we appreciate you commenting, and subscribing, and we appreciate the support.